Many people wonder about the purpose of Cumulative Flow Diagrams or CFDs. They think, why add more administration when you can keep working as fast as possible? Unfortunately, most CFD guidelines target the team level and their tasks, whereas I see the biggest advantage at the value stream level. With little investment, these diagrams can provide an honest view of what's going on in your business. This video illustrates a true story from a major organization where I had the opportunity to facilitate the setup of a Kanban board, record the data, and generate a CFD. I hope this case study provides the information you need to get started with this simple tool, which may lead to outstanding improvements. This major organization had a department that served as an internal provider of global digital infrastructure. The department comprised around 100 people, organized into several teams, as well as managerial and supporting roles. Sometimes the teams delivered autonomously and sometimes together. Sometimes they needed to collaborate with external teams to achieve results. Team members were also frequently asked to perform smaller individual tasks, such as fixing something broken or providing expert advice. Larger initiatives were conducted as traditional resource-managed projects. As you can imagine, it was difficult to assess the performance in this big jumble of work assignments. The newly appointed product manager faced the apparent challenge of prioritizing overall deliveries and hopefully increasing productivity. As a supporting coach, I wanted to help create visibility of the actual value flow. I organized a workshop to identify backlog items, bringing together individuals with a strong understanding of the department's work. In just 1.5 hours, we found most of the current deliverables. To simplify, I wasn't cautious in defining different kinds of items. Detail types like epic, feature, and story may be unnecessary and frustrating for beginners. I favor speaking only about what an end user needs and the significant things an organization wants to deliver. These were written on blue post-its. With this simplification, the first population of a Kanban board is sufficient. The most important aspect is to bypass activities such as analysis, pre-study, development, test phases, etc. To avoid having many small items, I asked the delegates to refrain from including tasks performed within their teams. It's also vital to identify the enablers needed within the department. These things were written on red post-its. With these prerequisites in place, I outlined the Kanban board and began by asking what things they were currently working on. I was surprised to see how many major deliveries were ongoing, and I immediately sensed their burden. All were typical of what a modern organization needs in a digital office. Besides functional upgrades and lifecycle management, there were many new features and tools to increase productivity. Next, I wanted to understand what else was in line, so I asked about things that had been planned but not yet started. It was a relief that this stage had a lot fewer items. The third state I requested was things currently under analysis and planning. Also, in this case, there were rather few items. And lastly, things that both external and internal users desired. I asked, what things are you dreaming of, but have not yet had the chance to put any work on? In total, we were able to populate the board with approximately 75 things during this first brief meeting. After the initial workshop, I suggested holding regular meetings with the entire product management team. In the subsequent gatherings, the backlog grew and evolved. While new things were discovered, fewer were finalized and moved to done. After 30 weeks, it became clear that the demand was increasing while the delivery speed was falling short of expectations. Despite the visualization indicating that work in process VIP was high, the product manager expressed, "I don't really understand why we need this board." Trying to help, I used Excel to create a CFD that could give us more information than just viewing the board. Still, the diagram didn't provide any valuable insights. To show something factual, I first had to identify the trend. I did this by using the trend function in Excel with data from the previous 15 weeks in the ongoing and done columns. Calculating the lead time from Kanban entry to completion was complicated. It seemed to take longer than 18 months, and I was unsure of its accuracy. Instead, I settled on the cycle time and determined that on average, a thing was being worked on for an astonishing 54 weeks. Of course, some things were delivered more quickly, but others took even longer, which was far beyond the current perception. From this knowledge came a willingness to improve. The classic lean principle, stop starting and start finishing, came into play, and the product manager decided to say no to any new requests, review the current priorities to identify any removals, and avoid starting to execute any planned things. After another 20 weeks, with an updated Kanban, the results could be monitored in the CFD, where work in progress decreased from 101 to 68, and work in process decreased from 58 to 45. Using the trend function in Excel, I repeated the effort to estimate the lead time, but it was still too long to obtain an accurate figure. My assessment landed on approximately 15 months, which looked like a promising sign. The cycle time, which was now averaging 44 weeks, represented a clear step in the right direction. Naturally, there are plenty more improvements that can be made, and setting up a Kanban with a CFD is only a starting point. It's a tool that requires some discipline and a lot of persistence. It's not simple to assess the flow and understand performance in a task-based environment. You cannot see a development value stream as a linear sequence, because it's a network of processes dragging a flow object from idea to delivery. It's about learning to see in chaos. The data visualized in a CFD should always originate from a Kanban board that represents the entire workflow. It's essential to recognize that a Kanban does not require any changes to current working procedures. It's a tool to visualize a business, and it's meant to reflect the reality. It all boils down to the actions you take based on the information in these charts. If you look at them without making improvement actions, it will be a waste of time. If you would like a basic description of how to create a Kanban with CFDs, you can find one in the video Introduction to Cumulative Flow Diagrams.